Hello, and welcome back. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast.
Hi.
Hello. We are happy to be back. Today, we get to talk about someplace we've only been for a few days, but we really had a good time there, right?
Yeah, we did. And I really want to go back and explore it more. But I do feel like in our 2 days, we packed in so much.
Yeah. So we're talking about Berlin. And Germany isn't somewhere that we've really totally explored.
No.
We've sort of hit some random cities. Like we said, we've been in Berlin for a few days, but it is somewhere that we need to sort of dive a little deeper and explore. But yeah, Berlin is definitely somewhere that I would go back.
So we went in fall, which I thought the weather was like so nice.
It was lovely. So we flew from Torino into Berlin, and then after Berlin, we went to our first time in Copenhagen. So we spent 2 days there.
2 full days.
Yeah, and we stayed at the hotel Berlin, right?
Yeah, which was right on the edge of a park.
On the Tiergarten.
Yes.
Yeah, and I liked the hotel. Did you not?
I liked it. I thought it was really cool. It was very like neon-y, very poppy in color.
Yeah.
The rooms were fine.
They were fine, yeah.
The Wi-Fi was terrible.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but probably didn't care as much as Dylan at the time.
And remember what it looked like right by the elevator that somebody had an accident?
Oh, no, I don't remember that. You always remember the good stuff.
It was sustained, but it wasn't a pretty one.
Oh, goodness. Anyway.
And back to Berlin.
Okay, so we were really close to the huge park, which is kind of like the Central Park in Berlin, right?
Yeah.
Tiergarten. And it's lovely. And we rented bikes and rode through there. And it's huge. There's tons of paths. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. We did try to rent scooters because it's right when the birds came out, remember? And,
yeah.
And I put Dylan, who was 14, on it. And he got stopped by the police.
Yeah, the police circled us instantaneously because you have to be 18 to ride them. And we started off the trip like we start off many of our trips by sort of doing organized tour.
Yes, my favorite.
And this one was a boat tour on the Spree River. And we kind of got a nice overview of what the city looks like. It's always nice to see it from the water,
I
too.
agree.
And it was a beautiful day that day.
It was really pretty.
But yeah, so we sort of got a little bit of a taste of the lay of the land, a little bit of a historical background. We saw the cathedral. We saw a lot of the architecture and sort of the vibe of the new and old architecture and
where the city was split.
Right,
it was
right. And oh my God, what's it called? The big tower.
The television tower? The TV tower?
Yeah, but it doesn't have a name. Is that
Sputnik?
Sputnik. So yeah, so that kind of gave us a nice overview and a nice, it was relaxing. We had our little headset on so that we could get in English all the descriptions of everything. Lovely.
Yeah, I loved it. And then I think, didn't we go straight from there to Checkpoint Charlie?
Yeah, I think we did, which I really enjoyed. I mean, enjoy is probably not the right word, but I felt like it was, it does have some touristy aspects with the gift shops and stuff, but it really kind of taught me a lot about the East and when the wall came down and what it was like before the wall came down. I thought it was really interesting.
It is, and it's not big, so it's very easily digestible for children, I think. Then it has the actual checkpoint out in front of where I want to say museum, but it's not really a museum.
You're talking about on the walls?
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like a learning walkway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's on the historical information is written on almost plywood as you're walking through the area where it feels like it's under construction, but I think that's just the way that it sort of was to funnel people into the checkpoint, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth seeing, and and it's such a recent and important part of history that it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, wow. We really did pack a lot into these 2 days as I'm looking through our whole itinerary.
Yeah, we did.
So did we go to the DDR museum on the same day?
I think so.
So the DDR museum, I had high hopes for it. It's a museum based on what life was like living in Berlin during communism. And it's cool on the inside. It was so crowded and it was very chaotic. Just there was no clear path. So it was hard to get around people. It was hard to find a path to go. It had a lot of good information. My favorite parts were those rooms at the end where it was what a room for a teenager would look like, or what a room for a married couple would look like, or what a kitchen would look like. And there was this one room where you could try on clothes.
That's creepy.
Yeah, no, Lisa's not a big fan of touching things. So, in my opinion, I definitely wouldn't go back. I probably wouldn't go had I known what it was before we went.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I mean, I felt like there are a lot of other ways to get that same information that's a little bit more interesting. Maybe if you have a week and you go in an off time, that might be something, but
Yeah.
it certainly isn't on my list of must-dos.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We also went to the Berlin Cathedral that day.
Yeah, which is stunning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's something that you can just sort of go in and you can actually pay to go up to the top.
Which we did.
Yeah, which is great. But it's a very easy activity and thing to see sort of in the midst of your day when you're walking around to just go in there real quick because it's not like an hours and hours thing. It's something you can do between activities.
Yes.
We also went to the East Side, what's it called? The
East Side Gallery.
East Side Gallery, which was really, really interesting. I mean, again, it's on the touristy side because people go there for a photo op, but it's just so interesting to see like how that became sort of a outlet for creativity and communication.
Let's tell you what it is, though. It's the remaining part of the standing wall.
Right. So that was the part that, so it was a bit of evidence of how people express themselves, right? Because it was graffiti,
yeah,
but it was artistic and it was, food for thought in terms of, comments and handprints. One of my favorite pictures of Dylan is all different colored handprints behind him. And it was just sort of like, in one picture, a really interesting statement on what that period was like, and how many different people were affected and how everybody's handprint is the same, but they lived so different from the other side of the wall. Like, it's just kind of crazy. But I found it really interesting, and I would definitely recommend going there.
Oh, no, 100%. 100%.
We also, other things that we went to was the memorial for the murdered Jews of Europe, which is indescribably powerful. I mean, everybody's name is listed on the wall, and then there are these sort of different shaped and different heights of cement blocks.
Yeah.
And it is so stark and so, it's hard to put into words.
But right in the middle of the city almost. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was sort of a weird thing because it is this memorial and it is this like powerfully devastating tribute. And then there's kids running around in it and
playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
And
it's sort of, I guess it's sort of an interesting juxtaposition of like the sadness and the hope of moving forward, right? I don't know. It was something that I'll never forget going there.
We went to Brandenburg Gate,
which, is right at the gate, was right where the concerts happened for, right as the wall was about to come down. So, and a lot of historical Cold War events happened right at that center. So it's also just kind of an important symbol of the time and for Berlin in general, I think.
No, I agree. So the last two things that we did are not touristy things. They were Dylan things. We went to a place called the Museum of Computer Science, which was so cool. It was just like kind of an interactive history of computers and computer games from the beginning until the current. And we spent, 2 hours in there?
Yeah.
Which was really cool. And then the other thing we did, which I think may have been all of our favorite things about Berlin, we went to the Berlin Zoo, which might be one of the top zoos in the world, I think.
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was the best zoo by far that I've ever been to.
And it's not just for little kids. Like Dylan was, 14 years old and he had a blast.
And there is the biggest and best playground I think I've ever seen inside the zoo. And it was, equipment for all ages. Yes, I did play on them. And it was just, it's so well done and so beautiful. But the animals in the zoo are, the monkey rooms.
Oh.
We could have stayed in there all day long.
We were there for hours.
Yeah.
Which was a lot considering we were only there for 2 days. And we could have stayed for hours more.
Yeah. And I took a video of the elephants. Do you remember that? They were like kind of dancing. It was like swinging his
Oh
head around
yeah,
and swinging his
yeah,
tail around.
yeah,
I mean, they just looked happy, like, which you
yeah,
don't see very often in
yeah.
zoos. But yeah, no, that is a definite recommend because it's super worth it. And give yourself time. Give yourself like half a day because you will spend it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, so we talk about food. We mentioned currywurst.
Yeah, which Dylan loves currywurst.
Well, I don't mind it. I mean, I wouldn't want it every day, but I kind of like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I guess I don't mind it. Germany has like really good beer. So if
If you're into that sort of thing. But there's also just a lot of international food in general. I mean, aside from the traditional German food, which is great, obviously, they have a lot of, I mean, we ate Mexican food there. Shocking.
Did we?
Oh, yeah. I put on Instagram the elephant dancing and I said what it feels like when you find great Mexican in Berlin.
Well, coming from Italy, we were craving good Mexican food.
Yeah. And so yeah, no, we had good international food in general and lots of options. And it was where our hotel was not far from a train station and there was just street after street of bars and restaurants
Yeah.
and cafes and stuff. It was nicely positioned for easily walking to whatever you could want.
Yeah. And I will say that I was surprised because I feel like the Germans, at least in Berlin, like a good coffee shop that serves coffee as much as an Italian. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
So we ate lunch. I had a really good Reuben sandwich, which I hadn't been able to find in Italy, a place called Mog and Mitt. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the neighborhood was Mitt. And remember, it was like kind of a cool, like
Super cool, like artistic area of Berlin.
That's where we should stay next time we go.
Yeah. But Berlin is an interesting city because obviously there's a ton of history, both recent and older. And it's, there's sort of a creative vibe. It's an interesting place. It's not like anywhere else I've ever been.
And if you're into the club and rave scene, apparently, I don't know, Berlin has some of the most notorious, famous clubs.
Yeah. And they definitely like their raves and their clubs and their food. And, it's also kind of an interesting place for fashion. It's a little bit of a darker vibe, but it's a very hip city.
It is. I think that's why a lot of young people immigrate there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that there's a lot more that we didn't explore that we would do next time.
Something I would also say that in Berlin, most people speak English. We didn't have a problem with language in Berlin, which we do sometimes in other smaller cities in Germany.
Right. Yeah, but no, I think pretty much in when you get into the capitals and the really big cities, you'll do okay in terms of just speaking English. But again, everybody likes it if you at least throw down a donka every once in a while,
And for those that are thinking about immigrating to Europe, Berlin particularly, not Germany as a whole, but Berlin has a really good artist visa for writers and artists.
I thought it was all of Germany.
I don't know. I think I thought it was just Berlin,
okay. But
I could be wrong. But there's a really good artist program that doesn't have a lot of requirements, really.
Yeah.
So look into that.
But yeah, I would say next time we are going to maybe spend a little more time, maybe stay in the mid area and then
live like a local.
Yeah. And just sort of dive in a little bit more into the culture. And like I said, we do need to explore more of Germany. So if there's somewhere that you've been that you love, let us know. Hit us up.
Yes, please.
So thanks for listening. We look forward to your reviews and we will see you next time.
Check out our website, www.thegetawayswithaz.com. Hit like and subscribe down there, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.